Hey Splinter Cell fans, this is just a quick showcase on how to get the joystick controls working for the PC versions of Splinter Cell. Now this is Pandora Tomorrow, the second Splinter Cell game, but it also works for Splinter Cell 1, and it's a little bit different for Chaos Theory, but I'll also cover that in this video shortly. Now I'm using a DualShock 4 controller, and it's wireless, it's connected using the official Sony adapter dongle thingy, so I don't know if that makes a huge difference. I'm pretty sure that this tutorial will work with other modern game controllers such as the Xbox controllers. One thing to note is that the PS4 controller actually does act as a direct input device using this method. So I'm not using DS for Windows, or I'm not using Steam. I'm actually using a piece of software called PinnacleGameProfiler. Now that's not a free software, and it is about $5 or $6 or $7. But I found it to be worth it just to pretty much get one of my favorite series on the PC working as I wanted to. Now I played the game when I was little on my PS2, and I'm not a huge fan, as I've said, about using the mouse and keyboard controls for this game. So as you can see here, I've got it working pretty much just like how it did on the PS2. You can get Sam to move just slightly just by tapping or pressing really lightly on the joystick and get him to run, etc. So you know all this, right? Shoot, all that functionality is there. The great thing about Pinnacle is that it lets you actually bind these 4 D-pad buttons. And I don't know if you know this, but you can actually go into the configuration files for the game and manually bind the commands for the game onto joystick buttons, but the configuration file only has 16 buttons, or maybe 14 or 16 buttons, which doesn't, for some reason, include, I wasn't able to find a way to bind any commands to these 4 buttons here. So I had to resort to a third-party piece of software to get that working. But as you can see, it's working pretty much as it did on the original versions, left and right to change the goggles. I've actually bound up and down as the scroll wheel for the mouse to control Sam's speed, but in order to play the game, all you have to do is hit it up a few times whenever you start a level, which essentially puts Sam at a run, which maximizes his range of movement, but you can still just hold it lightly to walk, so make sure you have it set all the way up before you start. Otherwise, if I hit down a few times, Sam's just gonna be stuck at a walking speed no matter how far I push the stick, like so. So push it back up. Okay. Another great thing about this piece of software is that it lets you utilize the touchpad, although not in the same way that Steam or DS for Windows lets you do it. It simply acts as one button. So here you can have the pause menu. And another great thing is that it actually lets you also bind the right analog stick as a rudimentary mouse control right here. So you can actually navigate the menus pretty easily. It's actually vital in these games to navigate the inventory with the mouse as well. So this is just, it saves you from having to have the mouse nearby. Of course, you can use the mouse as I'm doing now, or you can use the controller, okay? But if you're playing on the TV, you don't have any keyboard or mouse controls nearby, it's great. I've actually also bound the options and share buttons as quick save and quick load. So here I'm quick saving, I run around, and so this is great for all of you guys who may not have the same time as you did when you were younger to play through the games, to play through entire parts of the game just to get that perfect score. So for save scrubbers, this is great. Okay, let's see what else I want to cover. So Pinnacle also lets you have multiple binds for one button. So in this game, Sam can actually whistle. He couldn't in the first game, but he can in this and Chaos Theory. I've actually bound it to R1 as a hold command. So if I just tap R1, he doesn't whistle. And tapping R1, I've actually set to change the rate of fire for his rifle. But holding R1, you can actually hear Sam whistle. So that's pretty cool. For the OPSAT, I really wanted to get the OPSAT bound to the PlayStation Guide button, but I haven't found a way to do that. So if anybody has a way of has figured that out using Pinnacle or any other method, please let me know. So I temporarily have the OPSAT kind of bound to the directional up arrow as a hold command. So if I just tap up, it doesn't do anything, but if I hold up, boom, brings me to the OPSAT. Okay, and of course, you can navigate that with the mouse. Let's see. Oh, just tap this to exit out of that. And that's pretty much it. I mean, most of the buttons work very well. You can put his back to the wall by clicking down on the stick. I show you the zoom features, but I don't have the rifle yet in this game. I don't think. Yeah, I don't have the rifle. But I've actually bound it so that if you have the rifle, you can actually tap this once to zoom in and tap it again to zoom out. And that's just a cycle bind that I made using the profile. And I'll have all that uploaded in the description below. Okay, so let's move on to Chaos Theory. I think that's all I have for Pandora tomorrow. So this is Chaos Theory, and this is going to be really short because the game actually has a lot better controller support than the first two games. So you don't really need PinnacleGameProfiler anymore. So if you're just trying to play some Chaos Theory on the PC, this is going to be really easy to do. I do have similar controls to what I had for Pandora tomorrow. So if I touch the touchpad, it goes straight to the settings. And let me just show you the settings really quick. Oops, not restart. So you want to go to controls. If you have a compatible joystick plugged in, this option is going to be available. But if you don't, if you have something like the Steam controller, it's not going to show up. So you want like an Xbox or a PS4 controller, right? So you can actually just bind all these commands directly using the game settings to different buttons on your controller. The main thing is, as I said before, the PS4 controller is a direct input device, which means that it is fully supported in this game. However, if you're using an Xbox 360 controller, the triggers aren't really going to work. I don't know why the game doesn't detect analog triggers through X input. But people have found a workaround for that. You're going to need a third-party software such as Joy2Key or I don't know, some other program, but Joy2Key works. I've tried it on my Xbox controller, but straight out of the box, the PS4 controller and I think the PS3 controller works great, at least using the official dongle. Okay, so going back to the game, everything works well. The camera controls just as smoothly as it did on Pandora tomorrow. Sam moves slowly and quickly, etc. So it works pretty much perfectly. Let's see the vision modes, targeting, zooming in. Now I have the rifle, so that's actually supported in game, so you don't have to worry about writing some or figuring out some weird command binds for that. Everything else works fine. Oh, let me just get into the inventory really quick. So the mouse isn't emulated anymore because I'm not using Pinnacle. I'm not using any other software. So the right analog stick doesn't move the mouse around. Here I'm actually using my mouse. But this game is great because you don't need the mouse to navigate the menus. Same with the OPSAT. Now I have the OPSAT actually working on the PlayStation guide button. So if I hit that, analog stick just moves the selection cursor around. So that's pretty nice. You don't have to sit with a mouse nearby. You can play this on your TV. I think that's pretty much it. The game was a blast to play using the controller. I didn't enjoy using the mouse and keyboard. I played through like the first two levels and it just didn't feel the same to me. So I really enjoyed using this controller. And now the PS4 again, the PS4 controller is supported out of the box, and that's really cool. For those of you that have the official dongle, it's pretty much plug and play. There's a few lines of script that you're going to need to change in the configuration files, but I'll have a link to that in my description below. Okay. All right. Cool. Well, thanks for watching.